All right, get ready for a deep dive that's gonna really make you think.
Oh, yeah.
We're heading to Sedona, Arizona.
Beautiful
It
place.
is. Oh, we're not just here for the scenery, though, right? We're here for a love story.
Always a good hook.
Yeah, but it's also a mystery.
Even better. I love a good mystery.
This one involves a man named Carrie and a mysterious woman named Nara. And well, it all takes place against the backdrop of Sedona's famous vortexes.
Ah, the vortexes.
Have you been to Sedona?
Years ago, yeah.
Did you feel anything at the vortexes?
It's hard to say. The energy there, it's definitely palpable, but whether it's the vortexes themselves or just the incredible natural beauty, it's hard to tell.
I've heard people say they feel everything from a heightened sense of awareness to even physical sensations like tingling or dizziness.
Right, and there are all sorts of theories about what causes those sensations. Some believe it's electromagnetic energy, others think it's something more spiritual or even interdimensional. But regardless of the explanation, there's no denying that Sedona has a certain mystique, a certain energy that draws people in.
It definitely sets the stage for an intriguing story, and Carrie's story is definitely intriguing.
Oh, it's more than intriguing. It's baffling. It's like something out of a dream that you can't quite shake off even after you wake up.
So let's start with the basics. It's 1992. Carrie, a writer from New York, travels to Sedona after the death of his father.
Grieving, looking for peace, maybe a little lost.
He's drawn back to this place from his childhood, a place filled with memories and, as we'll find out, a mystery that will change his life forever.
A life-altering mystery, all starting in Sedona, the land of vortexes and red rocks. It's almost like the setting itself is a character in this story, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and this mystery, it all begins with a woman who vanishes. Right, Nara. But the question is, was she ever really there? Or was she something else entirely?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that haunts Carrie throughout this entire ordeal.
So let's rewind to the beginning. Carrie arrives in Sedona and heads straight to Airport Mesa, one of the most well-known vortex sites. Why this particular location? What's so special about Airport Mesa?
Well, Airport Mesa is considered a powerful upflow vortex, meaning the energy there is said to spiral upwards.
Upwards.
Yeah, and that's thought to promote feelings of clarity, connection to like a higher power. Some believe it enhances creativity, self-discovery.
Okay, so that makes sense why Carrie, a writer seeking inspiration, would be drawn there.
Exactly. He's grieving, he's searching for something, and maybe, just maybe, he's hoping to find that something at Airport Mesa.
And that's where he encounters Nara, right?
That's right. Picture this. Carrie's at the Mesa, taking in the breathtaking views when he sees this stunningly beautiful woman meditating on a rock ledge, seemingly oblivious to the world around her.
Sounds like a movie.
It does, doesn't it? He describes feeling an almost magnetic pull towards her, like an invisible force was drawing them together.
Okay, that's giving me chills already. Love at first sight, but with this added layer of vortex energy and Sedona's mystical vibes.
Right. It's like the setting itself is amplifying their connection, making it even more intense, more immediate.
So what happens next? They just start talking.
They spend the entire day together, lost in conversation. They're completely engrossed in each other, sharing stories, dreams, fears. It's like they've known each other for a lifetime.
That's intense.
It is. And by the end of the day, Nara invites Carrie back to her secluded cabin, nestled deep within Oak Creek Canyon.
A secluded cabin, huh? Sounds romantic.
Oh, it's the quintessential romantic hideaway, accessible only by a winding dirt road, surrounded by towering red rock formations. A place where you can truly escape from the world and just be present with the one you love.
Okay, this is getting good. So they head back to the cabin, and what happens there? Does the romance blossom?
Oh, it blossoms all right. They spend 3 idyllic months together at the cabin, completely immersed in this whirlwind romance. But there are hints of mystery surrounding Nara from the very beginning.
What do you mean? What kind of mystery?
Her life is shrouded in ambiguity. She mentions her people having lived in the area for generations, hinting at a Native American heritage, but she's incredibly vague about any specific tribal affiliation.
Okay, so a little mysterious, a little guarded, maybe.
Exactly. She talks about a deep connection to the land, to Sedona's energy, and makes it clear that leaving is not an option for her. She's tethered to this place, and nothing, it seems, can break that bond.
So did Carrie ever ask her about leaving Sedona?
Oh, he does. He asks her to move to New York with him, but she's unwavering. She refuses to leave Sedona, citing her connection to her people and the land, and like she's bound to this place by some unseen force.
So we've got this passionate love affair, but it's happening in this bubble, in this secluded world that Nara has created. And it's clear that she has no intention of leaving this world.
Right, and that's where the conflict begins to emerge. The reality of their situation starts to set in.
Right, because Carrie can't stay in Sedona forever, can he?
No, he can't. He has a life in New York, responsibilities, deadlines.
So what happens? Does he just leave Nara and go back to his old life?
He does, but not without promising to return to her as soon as he can. He's head over heels in love, and he believes that they can make this work, that they can find a way to bridge the gap between their two worlds.
So he goes back to New York, believing that he'll see Nara again soon. But that's not exactly how it plays out, is it?
Not quite. He calls Nara the moment he gets back to his apartment, but her phone number is disconnected. Days turned into weeks, and still no contact. The woman who just a few days ago was in his arms, sharing his life, has vanished without a trace.
It's like she never existed.
That's exactly what Carrie starts to think. He's frantic, worried, convinced something terrible might have happened. He confides in his friend, Ray, and they decide to fly back to Sedona together to look for Nara. Their first stop is the winding dirt road leading to her cabin.
And that's where the real mystery begins, right?
That's right, they arrive in Oak Creek Canyon, memories of that idyllic time flooding back to Carrie. But as they search for the familiar dirt road, they're met with an unsettling realization. It's gone. Vanished, as if it never existed.
Wait, hold on. So not only is Nara missing, but her entire home has disappeared? This is starting to feel like something out of a Twilight Zone episode.
It does, doesn't it? And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I am officially hooked. So we've got a missing woman, a vanished cabin, and Carrie's probably freaking out at this point.
Oh, absolutely. He's in a state of disbelief, grappling with the impossible.
So what does he do? I mean, where do you even begin to look for answers when you're faced with something like this?
Well, he starts asking around, right? Visiting the places he and Nara frequented, hoping for some clue, some sign of her whereabouts.
So like bars, restaurants, shops, those sorts of places.
Exactly. And that's when he encounters another layer of this bewildering puzzle.
He finds someone who's seen her.
More than one someone, actually. Locals, bartenders, waitresses, they all distinctly recall seeing Carrie with this striking woman matching Nara's description.
Wait, so they remember seeing them together? As a couple?
Yes. And these weren't just like fleeting encounters either.
Oh.
Some remember them having lengthy conversations, sharing meals, laughing together. It's like they were a fixture in the community for those 3 months.
So she wasn't a figment of his imagination. There's actual corroboration that she existed.
This is where the mystery deepens. We're no longer dealing with just Carrie's word against the void. We have multiple independent accounts confirming Nara's presence in Sedona.
And yet she's vanished. Her home has vanished, and there's no logical explanation for either.
It defies all logic, all reason.
Okay, so my brain is going into overdrive here, trying to make sense of all this. I mean, what are the possible explanations?
Well, one possibility, and this is where things get a bit tricky, is that Nara might have been a master manipulator.
You mean like she was running some kind of scam?
Potentially. Skilled at weaving intricate lies, crafting an alluring facade.
Maybe she had reasons for disappearing, for erasing her tracks so completely.
Right. Maybe she was on the run from something or someone, or maybe she just got bored and decided to move on to her next target.
But wouldn't someone somewhere have picked up on her trail? I mean, to pull off something like this, she'd need resources, connections, an entire network of accomplices, right?
You'd think so, and that's where the more extraordinary theories start to take root. I mean, we are talking about Sedona here, right?
Right, Sedona with its vortexes and reputation for the paranormal.
Exactly. A place where the veil between our world and the otherworldly is said to be thin. So we have to at least consider the possibility that Nara's disappearance might have been something more than just an elaborate hoax.
Okay, let's talk about those theories. What are some of the more unconventional ideas that have been put forward to explain Nara's vanishing act?
Well, one possibility, and this is where things get a bit spooky, is that Nara might have been a supernatural entity of some sort. Remember, Sedona is steeped in Native American lore with tales of spirits and otherworldly beings woven into the very fabric of the landscape.
Are we talking about ghosts? Spirits? What kind of entity are we dealing with here?
Some believe that vortex sites like Airport Mesa, where Carrie and Nara first met, act as thin places where the veil between our world and the spirit world is weakened.
Thin places.
Yeah, places where the boundaries between realities become blurred. Perhaps Nara was a spirit drawn to Carrie's grief-seeking connection, or perhaps even playing a role in some grander cosmic drama.
That's a pretty wild concept, but it would explain how she disappeared so completely, how her cabin vanished without a trace. It's like she simply stepped back into the realm from which she came.
Exactly. And there's another theory, maybe a bit darker, that Nara was a specific type of supernatural entity.
What, like a demon?
Not quite a demon. Some have suggested she might have been a succubus.
A succubus. Isn't that a bit, extreme?
Well, succubi are often depicted as seductive figures, drawing energy and life force from their victims.
But Carrie never described Nara as being malicious or harmful. In fact, he insisted that their relationship was loving and affectionate.
You're right to point that out. The succubus theory doesn't quite fit with Carrie's account of Nara's personality. He never felt threatened or exploited by her, which goes against the typical depiction of a succubus.
So, maybe not a succubus. What about the alien theory? I know that's a popular one, especially given Sedona's reputation for UFO sightings.
Ah, yes, the extraterrestrial angle. It's certainly a captivating one. Some believe that Nara might have been an alien seeking to experience human connection or perhaps even to study us to observe our behavior and emotions.
But if she was an alien, why go through the trouble of creating this elaborate backstory, this cabin in the woods? Wouldn't it be easier to just, beam down and observe us from a distance?
That's a good question. Perhaps Nara was a hybrid being blending in with humans to study us more closely. Or maybe, and this is where things get really interesting, she was drawn to Carrie for a specific reason. A reason that goes beyond simple observation.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What kind of reason could an alien have for pursuing a romantic relationship with a human? It sounds like we're venturing into the realm of science fiction now.
Well, think about it. Perhaps Nara was seeking something that her own species couldn't provide. Emotional connection, empathy, or maybe even something as simple as love. Or maybe, and this is a theory that's been circulating in certain circles, she was seeking to create a hybrid offspring, a being that could bridge the gap between our two species.
A hybrid offspring. Wow, that's taking things to a whole new level. But again, if that was her goal, why disappear so suddenly? Why leave Carrie heartbroken and confused?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that leads us back to the possibility that Nara, regardless of her true nature, was bound by forces or circumstances beyond her control. Perhaps she was forced to leave to sever ties with Carrie for reasons we can only speculate about.
So we've got supernatural entities, aliens, and maybe even some kind of interdimensional traveler. It's like a cosmic game of Clue, but with infinitely higher stakes.
And that's the allure of this story, isn't it? It pushes us to expand our thinking, to consider possibilities that might seem outlandish at first glance. It forces us to confront the limits of our understanding and to acknowledge that there might be forces at play in the universe that we haven't even begun to comprehend.
Okay, my head is spinning. But before we go too far down the rabbit hole of speculation, let's bring things back to Carrie. He's back in New York, heartbroken, confused, and probably questioning his own sanity at this point. Does he ever hear from Nara again?
This is where the story takes another unbelievable twist. A year goes by, and Carrie is trying to piece his life back together, still haunted by the memory of Nara and the mystery surrounding her disappearance. One night, there's a knock at his door. It's late past midnight, and standing there, as if conjured from his dreams, is Nara.
Wait, what? She just shows up? After a year of silence, she just reappears on his doorstep? How is that even possible? I mean, I can't even imagine what must have been going through his head at that moment.
Right. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions.
So what happens next? Do they just pick up where they left off?
Not exactly. They spend the night together, but it's not the happy reunion Carrie might have hoped for.
Oh. What happens?
Nara remains evasive, refusing to answer any questions about where she's been or what happened to her.
Oh, wow. So she just ghosts him again.
Pretty much. By morning, she's gone vanished again, as if she were a figment of his imagination.
So she just disappears again, without a trace. This is crazy. But this time, right, he's not alone.
You're right. This time, Carrie has witnesses.
Witnesses? Who are these witnesses?
His friend Ray, who witnessed Nara's disappearance in Sedona, remembers seeing her in New York.
Oh, so Ray's in New York now, too.
He was visiting Carrie. And Ray's friend Brooke, who had never met Nara before, also confirmed seeing her.
So now there are 3 people who have seen Nara in New York.
3 people who vividly recall her appearance, her voice, her mannerisms. It's no longer just Carrie's word against the impossible.
So we've got multiple witnesses, independent accounts from people who have no reason to corroborate Carrie's story. This really adds another layer of complexity to this whole mystery.
Doesn't it? It's like Nara is deliberately toying with our perceptions of reality.
I mean, at this point, we've explored all sorts of theories, supernatural entities, aliens, even the possibility that she was some kind of master manipulator.
All valid theories given the circumstances.
But what about the psychological factors here? I mean, could Carrie's grief, his emotional state, have played a role in shaping his perceptions?
That's a great question. We can't discount the power of the human mind, especially when it's grappling with trauma or loss. Grief can manifest in strange ways, sometimes blurring the lines between reality and fantasy.
Are you suggesting that Nara might have been a figment of Carrie's imagination?
It's a possibility worth considering. Our minds are capable of creating incredibly vivid experiences, especially when we're in heightened emotional states.
But how do you explain the other witnesses then? Ray, Brick, the people in Sedona, they all saw her too. Are we saying that they were all hallucinating?
Not necessarily hallucinating. There's a psychological phenomenon known as shared delusion, or folie à deux, where a dominant individual's delusion, their fabricated reality, is adopted by others in their close social circle.
So you're saying that Carrie's conviction, his unwavering belief in Nara, might have influenced those around him?
Exactly. It's not uncommon for people to unconsciously adopt the beliefs and perceptions of those they trust and admire, especially in situations where there's a strong emotional bond.
So maybe their memories of Nara are fragments of Carrie's own imagined reality, pieced together through suggestion and emotional contagion.
It's a theory worth exploring. Memory is a malleable thing. easily influenced by our emotions, beliefs, and the suggestions of others. What we perceive as solid, irrefutable memories can sometimes be little more than elaborate reconstructions, narratives we've woven to make sense of our experiences.
Wow. I mean, this is getting deep. So we're questioning not only Nara's existence, but also the reliability of the witnesses who claim to have seen her. It's like we're falling deeper and deeper into a labyrinth of doubt and uncertainty.
And yet, amidst all this uncertainty, there's one element that remains constant. Carrie's unshakable belief in Nara's reality, in the authenticity of their connection. Even after her second disappearance, he continued to search for her, returning to Sedona twice, driven by a hope that defied logic and reason.
You know what's so fascinating about all of this? It's like this whole story is about the power of belief, the enduring nature of love, even in the face of the impossible.
Absolutely. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about reality, about the limits of human perception and the very nature of existence itself.
So what happened to Carrie after that?
Well, despite Carrie's continued efforts, Nara was never seen again. She vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a profound sense of mystery. And the truth about Nara, her origins, her motivations, her ultimate fate, that all remains a tantalizing enigma.
Well, this has been a wild ride. I feel like we've explored every possible angle, from the paranormal to the psychological, and yet the mystery of Nara remains unsolved.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most intriguing mysteries are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
It certainly makes you think about the vastness of the universe and the possibilities that lie beyond our current understanding.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe somewhere out there, Nara is still out there, watching, waiting, and perhaps one day she'll choose to reveal her secrets.
Well, that's a thought to leave us with. To our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe Nara was real, supernatural, a figment of Carrie's imagination? Share your thoughts, your theories, your own experiences with the unexplained.